right, guys, welcome in here. It is week 16. That is right, week 16 of the NFL season. Time to finally look ahead. Just one, maybe two more weeks here. Hetty is, I know it's week 15, Teddy, but we're looking to week 16. It is called the look ahead after all. And what we try to do here is find out if there is any opening line value as we look ahead before they play the games this weekend. It has been pretty profitable thus far. We've had some nuggets here in the sand that we've been able to point out at least a week ahead. And week 16, as I'm looking at the card right now, I think there's at least one or two more that we're going to be able to get to see that look of yours, Teddy, before it's all said and done.
Sure. And of course, we're recording this. It is not week 16. It is week 15 right now. We're recording it prior to the week 15 games going into week 16 next week. And these are look ahead lines. They're bettable lines right now. Yep. We always use the numbers from the Westgate SuperBook here in Las Vegas. There are many other sports books that do offer these look aheads, but the goal is always, A, how do these games correlate with this week's games? If you're going to make a bet in week 15, would you want to make a bet on the same team in week 16, perhaps at the same time to get the best of the number? And B, where do we think these numbers are going to go based on the various scenarios? So let's see what we can do, Joe. See if we can give them some good info over the next little bit.
Let's start with I'm looking at Friday, December 25th, and that's Christmas. Yeah, Christmas, little NFL here, guys. And what the NFL is just treating us all to giving us the Minnesota Vikings heading to New Orleans to take on the Saints. We're looking at New Orleans laying 6.5 at home against the Minnesota Vikings. So where might you have your numbers when it comes to this game?
So right now, I have a 4-point powering differential between these two teams. That said, if Drew Brees were starting for the Saints, which is a possibility for that ball game, my number would be higher. Potentially, I don't know how much higher. It wouldn't be that much higher. A point, maybe a point and a half, but certainly in this range. And of course, when we talk about a single event game, the favorite's always going to get some love. That said, if the Vikings knock off the Bears this week and the Saints, they've got a pretty tough game against KC.
Yep.
If Minnesota wins and New Orleans loses, maybe the number comes a little bit shorter.
A little bit.
Even with Drew Brees back on the field.
Yep. They better start learning how to run the ball again, New Orleans. Looking on Saturday, and I love this. Friday, Christmas, day after Christmas, the 26th. We've got 3 games on tap here, Teddy, for week 16. We'll start with the surging and everybody's favorite to win the Super Bowl again, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Traveling to Detroit to go see Johnny Detroit, our buddy there. No line on this game, but I'd mention it just to see exactly at this point, because you never know. Is it Stafford? Is it not? So we never know with Detroit. We haven't. Every one of these look-ahead games, we've never, ever had the ability to see a line for Detroit. It's always up in the air. But where do you have them on a neutral in your number?
So Tampa against, I would have Tampa 8.5 or 9 on a neutral against the Lions.
Yeah.
And that might be a little short.
Right. I'm going to assume Stafford did. Well, who knows? I mean, he's been so banged up the last couple of weeks anyway.
Well, I mean, the Lions 2-0 ATS under Darrell Bevell, for what it's worth.
Yeah,
but they also went 0-8 straight up without Stafford on the field last year. I think they covered 2 spreads during that span.
Yep.
And there's a drop off. Although Daniels, we talk about Chase Daniels being an okay backup quarterback, and he is.
Right.
He's better than who they run out there, David Blau.
Oh God. Oh yeah. Don't even say yes. It was hard to watch that. That's for sure. But listen, that game is not on the line right now, guys. But understand this is week 16. The game that is definitely up in. This is going to be interesting here. How about them San Francisco 49ers travel into Arizona, divisional matchup against the Cards, who finally won a game here last week. Lane 3, the Cards, is what they're going to do. A little home field, lane 3. I should say the San Francisco 49ers home field as well, since they seem to be playing there also very often. So the Cardinals versus the 49ers, Cards, 3-point home favorite.
If you like Dallas this week, you like Arizona next week. All right, because if San Fran loses, the markets may well crash on the 49ers. I would think that they would. That would end the playoff chances and all of that. And Super Bowl, they were in the Super Bowl last year, and here they're nothing. So that's a position where you could most assuredly make two bets if you like Dallas this week. When it comes to my number for this contest, San Fran and Arizona, I got 4-point power rating differential between the two teams. I'm not nearly as bullish on the 49ers as the markets are right now. And that served me well in recent weeks.
Yeah, that's certainly correct. They better figure out that quarterback issue they got going. Laying 3 in that one. How about another West Coast team? Interesting enough here. The Las Vegas Raiders hanging out right down the road from you, Teddy, on Saturday the 26th. They'll be welcoming the Miami Dolphins coming into town. And the Raiders, 2-point favorite at home against the Dolphins here. Where do you have these two teams rated right now?
Yeah, so, I live maybe 10 minutes from Allegiant Stadium, maybe. The traffic on Sundays is going to affect which route I take to go places. It's not loud enough to hear the crowd noise. It's not loud enough to feel it on Sundays, but it's definitely a short drive from my house, and I still haven't frickin' been there.
It's terrible, I know.
It's really annoying.
Yep.
I want to go. I was all set for that, that first Monday night game against the Saints back in week 2. Didn't happen, obviously. So who do we have, the Raiders, and who is this?
It's my team, Miami, taking on the Dolphins.
So I've got, and the Raiders are 2.5. Yeah. So my number for Miami is bad this week. All right. I still haven't downgraded Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to downgrade them because literally their skill position talent is wiped out.
Right.
I think this week they're going to be without their top 3 running backs and their top 3 pass catchers. And I haven't adjusted for that. So just looking at I only adjusted off of what last week's game was, which was another cover for the Dolphins, fortuitous as it was. And the Raiders have a national TV game this week. They'll have extra time to prepare for that game.
Yep.
We could see some market love there, and especially if Belichick and company come into Miami and knock off the Dolphins.
Yeah. This
line makes sense. Otherwise, again, I have Miami 2.5 points better on a neutral right now, and that's not a good number.
No,
if there was a bettable, every wise guy I know would come in and take Miami plus 2.5 against the Raiders. So it's not a guy. I know that coming in. I'm just showing you what I'm looking at. But I haven't downgraded Miami yet. But to me, even that 2.5 Raiders sounds a little bit high.
A lot can happen here between now and that's next Saturday, guys, on the 26th, the day after Christmas. How about a AFC West big battle here? How about the Broncos taking on the LA Chargers? Another one you would think is a coin flip, and it's almost. The Chargers laying 2.5 in LA, welcoming in, Drew Lock and the Denver Broncos.
Is this still on Boxing Day? Is it still the day after Christmas?
That's correct. This is Sunday now, the 27th.
Oh, now we're on a Sunday. Okay, yeah. Yep. So we have the 3 games on Boxing Day, the one on Christmas Day. No Thursday, so it goes 1 on Friday, 3 on Saturday, and the full card on Sunday. Charging the Broncos. Let's see. I've got the Chargers a 0.5 point ahead on a neutral. The game's in LA.
Oh, yeah, game's in LA. So
so they'll make it 1.5, 2. If the Broncos, they have the Bills this week.
Right.
But the Broncos look good last week. And if they beat the Bills this week or look good in that game, maybe we'll see a little bit of market support for them. Yep. When Drew Lock doesn't make mistakes,
he's great.
Denver, all of a sudden, you're like, wow. Yeah, not all of a sudden. There are things to like about the Broncos going in. But on the other hand, you want to talk about a defense that's cobbled together right now. The Broncos defense is cobbled together. I mean, they were missing I could go through the who they were playing in the secondary last week, and it's literally they got this guy off the waiver wire, they got this guy off the practice squad, they got this guy who they cut 4 times already, and now he's back starting. I mean, it's rough for Denver defensively right now. So That's why we're at least part of the reason why we're seeing so much Bills money this week. But yeah, if the Chargers pull off the upset and Denver looks like they're supposed to, this number comes 3 or higher.
Yeah,
so you make an argument for the Chargers here at the current number. You really can, even though my power ratings at the current moment don't say that that's the right bet to make.
There's only so much scheming Vic Fangio can do on a defensive side of the ball. Sooner or later, you got to have the players in order to be able to execute. And I give them credit for the job that they've done with what they've had. I will give no credit here, as the next game involves the New York Jets. I think they should fire everybody, just light a match and start from scratch. But hey, the Cleveland Browns will be heading to MetLife to take on the New York Jets. This is Sunday the 27th. And the Browns, believe it or not, it's under triple digits. 10 is what it is. 10 points, the Brown road favorites in this one.
So I got 12.5 on a neutral. The Browns will be playing back-to-back weeks at MetLife. They got the Giants there this week. So maybe you make it 11.5. So my number's a little bit higher. And week in, week out, we have the same conversation, Joe. I always say that my number's a little bit too high for the Jets, and I say good.
Right.
I've been off market on the Jets. I don't mind being off market on the Jets. Once again, last week, there's
they can't score.
The only people who bet the Jets since about week 5 have been, the quote unquote wise guys,
right?
And the wise guys have stopped betting the Jets now. So I'm surprised this number is even as high as it is, or is as short as it is.
I'm with you.
That said, go look at the Browns on the road for the last year and a half, and you're going to have a hard time laying any price with Cleveland. They're not winning a whole lot of road games, and when they do, they're not winning by margin.
Yeah, they put the screws to them last year too. The Browns. I believe there was a Monday night game at MetLife too when they played. So that was where they were asking people in the stands if they wanted to be the quarterback for the Jets because they kept knocking them all out. So you're right. 10 is an interesting number there. I don't think it's going to go into single digits ever. Cincinnati, another team can't score any points. Cincinnati taking on the Houston Texans. Houston at home. And I heard you're suiting up playing wide receiver for Deshaun Watson in this game, too, Teddy, as a Christmas surprise. 8.5 is what the Texans will be laying in this one, welcoming in Cincinnati.
And what do you want to do with this game?
Why play it? Like, can't we just throw a flag?
Maybe something to do with it. Let's see. What's my number? Because I've really dropped Houston. I mean, they didn't have a single guy in the lineup last week in terms of skilled and talent, wide receiver, tight end, running back, who played in week 1.
Yeah.
Okay. It's all new guys for Deshaun Watson, and it showed,
Don't forget Darren Fells.
Oh, yeah. Maybe the tight end. Yeah. So I have a 6-point differential on a neutral, which equates to a touchdown, 7.5 if you want.
Yep.
But Cincinnati is in Jets territory right now. They're unbackable.
Yep.
I don't want my money on the very worst teams at the tail end of dismal seasons. And when you talk about an offense that's not working, flat out, I got a choice for next week. I got to pick the Jets offense or the Bengals offense. I'm taking the Jets offense.
Yep.
That's where Cincinnati is right now.
So this is an interesting game. We do have actually a competitive game on Sunday the 27th here, guys, as we look ahead week 16. The Colts talk about having market support for many, many weeks here in the NFL season. They're going to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Big AFC matchup here. Steelers, 3-point home favorite against the Indianapolis Colts. Where do you got these two teams right now?
Steelers 3 at home against Indy?
There it is. I was waiting. Yeah, 3.
Okay. So my number is basically pick 'em. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, though. The Steelers are at home Monday night against Cincinnati this week, in week 50.
Get right.
And in theory, they're going to destroy that team.
Right.
And if they don't, it's not coming 3.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just basically what it comes down to.
Yep.
So you can say, all right, well, grab it now, grab that Indy plus 3. But if Pittsburgh does what they're supposed to do, it may well come 3. But if it doesn't, then the 3 won't be there. So it's like, but
similar defense to what they saw with Buffalo. They can't run the ball, Steelers. Going to be very interesting in this matchup.
Yeah, and then, of course, Indy is supposed to beat up on Houston this week.
Right.
So it's not like we're expected to see the Colts take a dip in value. I wouldn't argue putting a +3 in your pocket.
Why not?
I wouldn't. If
Yep.
you like Indy, that's one that it got the look, and you're thinking about the game, and it makes sense that even if both teams win by the spread,
Yep.
I don't know that it'll come three's high for that game.
I agree. I a lot more evenly matched than that. That's
But then again, it's also Phillip Rivers, an aging Phillip Rivers on the cold at a bad QB field in December.
Yep.
That may make it worth the 3. Again, the whole thing about the show is it's all bing, bing, bing right off the top. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, this is great. And then you think about it later. You're like, no, I don't want Phillip Rivers, at Heinz Field in December. I don't want that bad.
In
and
December.
It makes sense that it's 3, and that's why it's 3 instead of being 2.5 or 2 or 1.5. So,
yeah. Two teams with they both have some flaws there. To which one can exploit who's the most in that game? Oh God, why are they playing this game? Holy crap! The Bears got back on track and scored more than 10 points. 3.5. They'll be laying on the road to Jacksonville, who saw Gardner Minshew take some snaps at the end there in their game last week. So Bears 3.5-point favorite on the road in Jacksonville.
So the Bears have just scored 30 in back-to-back weeks. All right.
Crazy.
And say what you want. Mitch Trubisky was a top 5 pick. They picked him over to Deshaun Watson, and he's looked like a good quarterback the last 2 weeks. Played a clean game last week. David Montgomery was running. It's the NFL's leading running back in yards per carry for the last 3 weeks. The Bears' offense is working right now, and the Jags' defense isn't. And if Chicago beats Minnesota, if it's an upset, but if they beat Minnesota, this line ain't coming 3.5. It'll come higher.
Yep.
My number 6 on a neutral right now, and the Bears have the potential. Again, they win this week, they're a playoff team.
Absolutely. Yep. And if they look like they have, that number is going.
If you like the Bears this week, it makes perfect sense to look at the Chicago -3.5 for next week because it's not going to come lower.
Yep.
If the Bears cover, and if the Bears win, which they're +3 at Minnesota, if they don't cover, they're not. They can't.
They're done.
Win without covering.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But no, that's that. Now's the time to grab that number if you like them. Carolina. Head scratching of a team. Carolina heading to the first place currently. Washington football team there. Washington will be a 3-point favorite at home against the Carolina Panthers here. Where you got these two right
now? My number's a little bit shorter than that. Though I've been a little bit higher on Carolina than the markets. You don't want to lay points with the Panthers. They're 0-5 straight up, 0-5 against the spread. Their last 5 tries as chalk.
Yep.
But they've been good dogs. They have a TV game against Green Bay this week.
Yep.
On Saturday. Yeah, that's going to be a single event game on Saturday night. And if they look good in that game, they're likely to get a little bit of market support. Then again, if Washington upsets the Seahawks, who knows? I mean, the NFC East continues to be
it's amazing.
Fascinating division.
Yep.
And I can tell you right now, here's a tidbit for you. Whatever losing team gets in, I'll be on them that first week in the playoffs. I don't want to say you will, but I've watched it now twice since I've been in Vegas, where the losing team makes it and they get ripped in the media all week, and they get a home game and they beat up on somebody.
That's right.
Even though they're the worst team I've seen, and you can't compare these two defenses right now. Washington's defense is blowing things up. Yep. Carolina's isn't, but Washington's offense came with the football. We'll have to see what the story. And it's interesting. The markets are saying we don't care if Alex Smith or Dwayne Haskins plays, because to me, there's an enormous difference. I'm only interested in the Redskins with Smith behind center. Haskins is not a QB. And last week, they were able to win a game without any offensive touchdowns, and they gained 3.1 yards per play.
Yep.
Huge defensive disparity between these two teams. My number comes shorter. Again, I've got the Redskins 1.5 or 2. But if they upset Seattle, we're going to start seeing market support for Washington in a real way. I call it, damn it, the Washington football team.
I wasn't going to say it, but as long as you brought it up.
You got to say it. You got to rip me on that. And the reason I did it, I did a show this morning, and Merrill said it 3 times, and it was on. And I haven't made that mistake once all year. I put that name out of my head. And I'm blaming Merrill, Steve Merrill.
Wait till the Cleveland Indians come to town. Yeah. Wait till the Indians come to town. Yeah, we'll be throwing a lot more money in. How about the New York Giants? Speaking of this NFC least here, Giants next week will be taking on and traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Ravens 9.5-point favorite at home against the New York Giants here. I'm interested to see where you have these two teams rated right now.
Yeah, that's way
Yeah.
high for my number. Way. What do I got? I got what, 3.5 on a neutral? 5? 5.5?
9.5.
I could have sworn I just watched Baltimore defense give up 42 points.
Easily.
Right?
Yeah, couldn't stop anybody. Exactly.
And taped together at the end of the game. And the Giants defense is monstrous right now.
Yep.
Even last week against Arizona, a game where the offense couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And they kept on giving the Cardinals have great field position. They were in the red zone 7 times. They got 2 touchdowns. The Giants defense is playing their guts out.
Yep.
All that said, the Giants are dogs again this week.
Yes.
Right? And if they lose that game like they're supposed to, I don't know that we're going to see a lot of love for that team down the stretch.
Interesting who the quarterback
and
is.
Baltimore, in theory, has it real easy down the stretch. They get the Jags this week. If they do what they're supposed to, my number's short. Mm-hmm. But 9.5 it feels a little high to me.
Yeah. Even if the Giants lose this week, Baltimore wins. Are we looking at double digits, you think, next week? Is that a possibility that just makes it to double figures?
Oh, yeah, sure. If Daniel Jones can't play and it's Colt McCoy scenario,
they get ripped.
And if Jones isn't right, Jones wasn't right last week,
Nope.
And if Hassan Reddick is going to set an all-time card sacks record against the Giants, what's that Ravens defense going to do?
Right. Yep. Good point. 9.5. All right, let's go to another interesting game here for Week 16. The Falcons traveling to Kansas City. Matt Ryan coming to town, and Kansas City, and this is another, Kansas City 12.5-point home favorite against the Atlanta Falcons. Where do you got it?
I got 11.5 on a neutral.
Okay.
Which puts us in this range. It's going to be a heck of a flat spot for KC.
Oof.
Coming off of New Orleans.
And
tuning up for the postseason. And the one thing that we haven't talked about at all yet is clinching scenarios and if this team clinches and that team. And that's really more for Week 17 than for Week 16 on these look-aheads. But some teams are going to clinch some things this week, and that will potentially affect some of the numbers. But the markets don't go nuts with that until Week 17. Week 17, every scenario is factored into by a field goal or more.
Yep.
All the must-win teams are being asked to win by extra margins, and they've been pretty good at covering those margins in recent years.
Yep.
Despite the inflated numbers. So,
Kansas City, they beat New Orleans on the national scale. That's going to be interesting to see what they do Week 16 and 17. Rams, another team here taking on. This is going to be a great matchup, I think. Rams taking on the Seahawks. Two teams kind of battling in that division there. Seattle at home, less than a field goal. 2 is what they'll be giving the Rams coming to town.
Yeah, and of course, now that just to go back to the last game for 1 second, now the Steelers have lost a pair of games. Now KC exhales maybe,
Yep.
And it's a mother of flat spots for a team that's, failed to cover each of their last 5. You're not going to, it's not a game. I don't think even if the Chiefs kill them that line comes 14.
Mm-hmm.
Although the Falcons, who knows what the Falcons are. They've been pretty rough of late. So here we have the divisional, they've been pretty rough all year.
Yeah.
I got the Rams 1 point higher on a neutral. So where's this game, LA?
2. Yeah, 2 in Seattle.
Yeah, there we are.
2 in Seattle.
It's in Seattle?
Yeah, it's in Seattle. Yep.
So, and then, again, that had been one of the strongest home fields. I don't know that it is this year. I don't know if there's any super strong home field this year.
Yep. It was a pretty impressive win by the Rams too last time they played. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's not going to field goal. I'll say that. It doesn't matter what happens this week.
I agree.
Yep. Yeah, and if Washington wins against the Seahawks, that's the key one there. Washington wins. Seattle hasn't beaten a whole lot of good teams lately.
Mm-mm.
Right. Go back and look. Last 6 weeks, have been bad for, and then they blow out the Jets last week. Okay,
Yep.
But if they lose to Washington, LA, they're not going to be +2.
Teams with physical defenses seem to punch him in the mouth, and Russell Wilson tries to do too much, and that's where everything goes hard left for him. So interesting to see what happens in that game and how it's going to affect this line. How about them Eagles? Huh? Look at that. The Jalen Hurts era has officially begun. Oh, God. Throwing up as I'm saying it. Taking on them Cowboys, though. Cowboys got right. Philadelphia got right last week. Listen, they're in the playoff contention. Any which way we cut it, these two teams are still alive. It's a pick 'em in Dallas.
The Jalen Hurts era has not begun. They got 4 more. How many more years they paying Carson Wentz?
A lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unloading that contract at this stage. Right now, it'd be.
No.
You can't buy low on it. I wouldn't mind having Carson Wentz. I give Carson Wentz a second shot somewhere else. I absolutely would in a New York minute, but not at that price tag.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a Jameis Winston price tag. Give me a Marcus Mariota price tag. Give me a backup quarterback, and maybe you'll earn your way to be starter price tag. But $40 million?
It's tough, yeah.
Can't be rich. I got Philly right now, 2.5 points higher on a neutral. The game's in Dallas.
Yeah.
And my number, and that's a bad number, because Philly's not. I couldn't downgrade the Eagles off of last week's showing.
Depends on the injuries.
It's another team. Yeah. It's another team where when you look at the injury report this week, you're like, I have to downgrade them right now.
Yep.
Because for as bad as it's been for Philadelphia, it just got worse. Yep. So this is that's a non-adjusted number. And my number for the Eagles would go down, which makes this game more like a pick 'em than like Philly is a road favorite. And if Dallas knocks off San Fran and remains live for a playoff spot next week,
this is interesting.
Going
Dallas' way.
Yeah.
Yep. Coming down.
Where then again, if Philly beats Arizona, now the Eagles are on a high. Now watch out for Philly's hot. They won 2 in a row.
Yep.
Either one of these teams win this week, they'll be betting bandwagon support for them. They're both underdogs.
They'll come out. Yep, they'll come out. Looking fan bases that are just looking for a reason to bet them. Tennessee taking on, and I'm looking forward to this game. The Titans taking on the Packers here in Week 16, guys. That's going to be the Week 16 Sunday night game there. 4.5 points is what the Packers will be giving the Tennessee Titans in this one. Where do you have this? It's no man's land number here. What do you got him at here on a neutral?
Okay, that's just from a handicapping standpoint. When we think about the problem that Green Bay has had in recent years, it's all the defense can't stop teams like Tennessee.
Right.
The power rushing game. And when you think about how does Tennessee translate to Lambeau on a Sunday? Is that Sunday night or Monday night?
That's the Sunday night.
Matter.
Yep.
The Tennessee translates better than your average team.
Yep.
To Lambeau. That said, all the quotes from the Packers, Aaron Rodgers have played in 4 NFC championship games, and they've all been on the road. And now Green Bay's made it their mission. Now that they're live, now that New Orleans
back to Lambeau. Yep.
That they, so. But my number comes shorter than that. I've got Green Bay 1.5 better on a neutral. Throwing a Sunday night that makes it a 3.
Yeah.
It's not 4.5. That's a number I'm not convinced you're going to see. The Packers going to have extra rest?
I believe so.
Yeah, they play on Saturday this week, so they'll have an extra day's worth of rest, and they're on national TV this week if they blow out Carolina.
Wow. Yeah.
If they blow out Carolina, this number makes sense. If the Panthers cover, that number's too high, flat out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Kind of like Tennessee. It's I'm not sure that number will get there.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. Final Monday night, December 28th, the Bills. Everyone's darling now. Bills Mafia in full effect. Trying to exact some revenge at Gillette, man. The Bills taking on the Patriots. Patriots, slim hopes still alive if they can win out, maybe. 4.5 points Buffalo will be taken. When's the last time we saw this? Buffalo a favorite in Gillette on a Monday night. Wow. The tides have turned.
20 years.
It's crazy. Even just reading it, like, wow.
It's been since Flutie Flakes, man.
That's
That would have been the last time that Buffalo would have been favored.
Yep.
And
Wow.
I'm just doing it off the top of my head. There may have been some game sometime with, Matt Castle at QB in the year where Brady was hurt or something.
That you missed. Yep.
But Buffalo wasn't good in those years. I mean, the last time I remember Buffalo being good and New England not being good was the year before Brady. And that's the Flutie Flakes year. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Or him and Rob Johnson were going back and forth. I remember that, and I can't freaking remember what what I did yesterday or what I had for breakfast. It's so ridiculous. I'm not even a Bills fan.
You didn't have money on what you had for breakfast, otherwise you'd remember.
And I'm telling you, like my first 10 years in Vegas, I remember every game. I do. Because it's all. I can.
So true.
Yeah. The last 10 years they blur a little bit more, but the first, I can remember all kinds of.
Damn straight.
So who are the? Oh, they're at New England.
New England.
So first of all, it's really important to note that the Patriots' power rating is going to dramatically swing based on what happens this week.
This week, yes.
If they beat Miami, all right, New England's live. They're fighting. They're all that. If they're not, it's going to be like San Fran. The market's going to crash on them.
Yep.
So it's a situation where if you like New England this week, maybe you look at for Monday night. If you like Miami this week, maybe you look at Buffalo for Monday night. But I do expect the Patriots' power rating to be adjusted more than your average team based on this week's performance.
Absolutely. Yep.
I've got 5.5 points difference on a neutral, which makes 4.5 at Gillette.
Yep. Yeah. Counted it. Final Monday night game there, guys, and that does it. I mean, that's a wrap. I mean, looking at some of these lines here, the one that stuck out obviously the most was the Ravens laying 9.5 early to the Giants at home, Week 16. Steelers and Indianapolis Colts were the other one. Steelers a 3-point look-ahead favorite there. Seems a little just seems off there.
Crazy, you can say it.
It really does. But there are also, don't forget, earlier in the week, again, this guy starts next Friday. Vikings Saints is what kicks it off on Christmas, and then 3 games on Saturday and a full card on Sunday. So some opportunities on the look ahead here.
Yeah, maybe the Rams. That's another one that talked about. And again, +2, you're not getting a number that you absolutely have to have. Tennessee.
Yep.
So there's a handful that stood out. But
keep an eye this week.
Yeah.
And that Washington at the same time, too.
When we start talking about this stage of the season, even this late in the season, Joe, 1 week's results can have an enormous impact on the next week's point spread.
Yep.
Sometimes even more so late in the season because, for a team like New England, will they fight? Won't they?
That's correct.
Like San Fran, are they in it or are they not?
Yep.
You see the markets crash on those teams after they lose that 8th game. And both teams in position to do that here. So, not a bad circumstance. If you want to bet against them 1 week,
you can.
It hurts to bet against them both.
Coaching matchups. It'll be interesting, certainly, when Week 17 comes around. We'll keep you guys posted, obviously, if a Week 17 look ahead comes, depending on what the outcome is here. We'll touch base with you guys early next week as usual. Either way, we'll have something for you that we can tie into the playoffs as it gets ready for you. If there's a look ahead to be had, we'll be giving it to you. In the meantime, I'd encourage you guys to head over to sportsmemo.com, WagerTalk.com right now. You can get the entire bowl package, college football of Teddy's, and the guy's been sizzling hot, both NFL and college guys. $149, get every play now right through the national championship over at sportsmemo.com and WagerTalk.com. As a matter of fact, get the all access, get all the NFL, get all the college. Make it a profitable end of the 2 weeks for the final year, Teddy. You know what I'm saying? Bring in 2021, making it rain. That's what we're doing here, right? Make it rain, damn it. That's what it's all about.
My job's not to make it rain. My job is to help my clients and pick more winners and losers. We've been running really good in the NFL. We've been running really good in college. I have no complaints.
Yep.
But that ain't my, I'm very comfortable saying I'm a grinder. All right. You want to be get-rich-quick scheme, you can find – there are plenty of hat cappers out there that'll tell you how they're going to go 100-0 for you this week and hit a 14-team parlay. Go find one of those guys. I'm going to try to grind out a profit week in, week out. So I do want to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll be back on whether we have look-ahead lines to talk about or not.
Yep.
But I think we may let's see what they do for next week.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what happens this week.
In years past, they didn't put them out, and there was 1 year that they did. So we'll see if they do it. If they have them, we'll talk about them. If not, we'll talk about the playoffs.
There it is, guys. Best of luck no matter which way you go this weekend. Make sure you like this. Hit that little bell in the upper right-hand corner. Get notified every time one of these gets posted. In the meantime, best of luck. Happy holidays. We'll talk to you again soon. Yeah.